When you talk about a way to end a season, there are few better venues to do it at that than Talladega Super Speedway, the biggest, widest, longest, and most treacherous oval course in the United States. We are here today for the WSL NASCAR Series EU to finish out the season at this monster 2.66 mile tri-oval. Hello, everyone. My name is DJ Clark, joined here in the booth by Alex Goldschmidt, and it is a beautiful day to go racing. Drivers are out on track right now for the first of two qualifying laps to set everything down. But Alex, we know the way racing goes here at Talladega, and qualifying probably not as important as it would be at other circuits.
No, DJ. Very good evening, everybody. Yeah, Talladega, known in not just NASCAR racing folklore, but of course Talladega Nights with the Ballad of Ricky Bobby being very much a part and parcel of the NASCAR culture when it's been Hollywoodized, so to speak. But this particular circuit, we're going to see nearly 213 miles of racing over 80 laps. 26 degrees Celsius, partially cloudy, a 12 kilometre an hour wind and 54% humidity. That sounds like pretty good racing conditions to me, DJ.
Pretty good racing conditions indeed. And as we talk about how to navigate around this circuit, the biggest thing to be keeping in mind today is going to be that bump draft, the momentum, getting maybe a second line going up on the high side. It's an altogether different form of racing when you get these NASCAR next-gen cars out onto a super speedway. It is altogether different than running around even something like Charlotte that we've been to earlier this year.
Yeah, very much the case. As you say, there's a possibility that we're going to have someone going to the low side, someone going to the high side, and you're going to see three abreast maybe going across the start-finish line, DJ. But looking at the point spread, we've got the top six coming into this final round of the championship covered by just 20.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close, and it very much could be a winner-take-all situation for the likes of Harry Wills, Mark Redford, Kevin Stam, Matthew Heatrick, and Sean Campbell. We are still not seeing Isaac Rain on the timing and scoring today, so that could be a little bit of a change there for him. Time's starting to tumble in, though, as you see those championship standings. Dion Neuveld currently the one up at the top of the charts. Jeff Browning behind him, Mark Redford, Brandon Hughes, and Albin Kjellberg there in the top 5.
Yeah, covered just by just over a quarter of a, 0.15 of a second there, DJ. Kjellberg in the 22, a pretty solid lap time. I was seeing the likes in practice before we got things underway. Both Harry Wills, who's second in the championship standings by just 4 points coming into this final round, and Dean Timms were running in the just shy of the high 49.9s. So I would expect that at some point, we might see a little bit closer to that in race trim, but that depends on how tight or how loose the next-gen NASCARs from all three respective manufacturers, Chevrolet, Toyota, and the big blue oval, of course, Ford, very prominent within NASCAR folklore with the current next-gen cars doing a fantastic job in real life, but also on the iRacing platform.
Yes, indeed, they are. And we understand there's going to be some new damage models coming into these cars in the next couple of weeks. So that is something to look forward to if you are a fan of this iRacing service. Waiting here for a couple of drivers to cross over and get those final laps. It looks like Newenveld's going to be able to hold on to that top place position by about 0.05 of a second. Brody Menard behind them, Jeff Browning, Rich Matthews, and Mark Redford rounding out that top 5. Dean Timms all the way down there, the last driver currently set a time. We are still waiting for times from Loris Muller, Robbie Power, and Matthew Bruno, although I do not believe Robbie Power is in the session right now, so we're just waiting for times for 2 more drivers here.
Yeah, Matthew Bruno, if memory serves me correctly, DJ, on the previous round was actually on the outside of the front row. So this is really going to mix things up, Neuveld currently sitting a little bit further down the order, 15th in the standings coming into this final round. I also had a look at the standings before we went live tonight. That the top, 4 out of the 5, apart from Kevin Stam, the top 5 that is, have all got a drop score with points actually allocated against them. Kevin Stam and also Sean Campbell are the only ones that have got a 0 marks against their names. So we've got multiple cars in the mix, but it's the guys from 2nd to 6th position that have a real good chance of taking the WSL NASCAR Series EU title tonight.
Yes, they do. As we continue to wait here just for those cars to come across the line. And well, one thing, it's the sort of danger of racing here at Talladega, and we haven't gotten a chance to talk about it yet, Alex, and that is the big one. This is a circuit that, well, let's just say crashes are expected.
Especially when a big one comes along and then that takes out the majority of the field. I mean, you know, we're going to see speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour. I mean, the funny thing is that Rusty Wallace actually back in the day set a record of a 216.309 mile an hour lap, and that was around about a 44, just shy of a 44.3 second lap here. The speeds here, in comparison to the previous round, DJ, are so much more intense that the minute your car gets loose at the back end and you're millimeters away from the wall, we are going to see the impact damage models here on iRacing tested to the absolute limit, and I'm sure that we might have quite a few rapid repairs as well.
Yeah, I think we will as well. We'll have plenty of drivers coming on down pit lane to get that fast repair if they can. That's going to be a big talking point, especially if you're able to sort of limp back home and not go a lap down. You really don't want to try to go a lap down around here, but we do have lucky dogs in play. So that could be a way for some of these drivers to try to gain that lap back as they go. A little bit of chatter going on amongst the drivers right now as qualifying continues to tick down here, just sort of waiting for everything to fire off, and the anticipation really starting to grow here as we have a good amount of drivers.
Yeah, I mean, according to the live timing that both myself and DJ are seeing, I mean, Matthew Bruno currently sitting ninth in the standings on 203, but Sean Campbell, biggest surprise for me. I mean, sixth in the standings, had zero points on the board at round 4 and round 7. And qualifying at the back end of the grid, you know, 54.21 seconds, nearly, you know, 4.5 tenths off. Could Dion Neuveld actually end up in the top 10 at the standings end come the end of this race? That's the biggest question here.
Well, what he is going to need to be able to do that is to have some friends to be able to run around here. Super speedway racing, not necessarily like a lot of other forms of racing. You really have to be able to have somebody behind you giving you that bump draft, giving you that push as we go along. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt. You've got to be able to have those drivers out there working your way along, helping you out. You've got to work together with your other competitors. You can't really be running a single car race out here.
No, I mean, it's very much like a karting ethos, just to sort of bring my real life commentary experience into sort of an understanding here that, like you say, in Honda Cadet racing, you have, or basically like a mini micro max driver in Rotax, for instance, here, DJ. If you're working alongside with maybe a couple of teammates, or maybe even if you're running in a championship, effectively, if you're in the top 3 to 6 positions in the standings coming into the final round of the championship, what you want is for those people to work together. But that's easier said than done, because as soon as they put the visors down, virtually speaking, in our case tonight here at the WSL NASCAR Series EU finale at Talladega, it's going to be easier said than done, because if someone says, yeah, let's just make a gentleman's agreement that with 5 to go, then we're going to push. That is never on a month of Sundays ever going to happen, DJ.
No, it certainly is not. You've got to really try to play it out around here as they go and see what everybody will be able to do as we look like we are advancing into the next session. And I believe we are getting ready to go racing here at Talladega. Indeed, we are lining up in pole position. It is going to be Dion Neuveld in that pole position with Brody Menard to his outside. Jeff Browning and Rich Matthews will be lining up behind them. Mark Redford and Brandon Hughes in P5 and P6 with Kevin Stamm and Stuart Reynolds in the 4th row. Alvin Kjellberg in 9th with George Hill 10th. Harry Wills in 11th, and Artie Bouchard will round out your top 12. Kevin Stamm, not Kevin Stamm, your top 12. Dean Timms will be in 13th with Sean Campbell flanking them with Loris Muller, Matthew Bruno, and Robbie Power rounding out your 17-car grid.
Especially the fact that the last 3 on the grid there, not actually setting a lap time in qualification there, DJ, but we all know that qualifying is one thing, where you finish is somewhere completely different, and I'm looking forward to the next 80 laps of this 2.66 mile tri-oval circuit, where we'll see about 213 miles of racing. But of course the biggest $1 million question is how many cautions are we going to have? And Hitman K22 on the YouTube chat saying, wait, this is the finale? Yes, indeed it is. It's put up or shut up. It's now a case of deciding who out of Harry Wills, Mark Redford, Kevin Stamm, Matthew Heatrick and Sean Campbell are going to be top of the pops, king of the hill, if you will, or queen of the hill. But the other big thing is that Heatrick is not here either.
No, Heatrick is not here, so that is certainly going to throw some wrenches into the scoring here as we get our way around. It's going to be very interesting to see what this plays out. We've got a couple of the big title contenders not in the race right now, and so that is going to throw things off exponentially, I have to think, as drivers get ready to get going. Looks like we're having a couple of changes around here on the sim side as things go. As we're waiting for everybody else to join back up here. Just a little bit of, sounds like miscommunication here as they go. We are going to take a short technical pause here as we sort of reboot everything and get it back to go. But we will be back with you shortly. Welcome back to Talladega. We have gotten our technical issues sorted out, and we are about 30 seconds away from getting back and going racing here for the season finale for the WSL NASCAR EU Series here today. Once again, my name is DJ Clark, joined in the booth by Alex Goldschmidt, and waiting to sort of build anticipation here is the way I like to view what we just went through, Alex. It's going to be a fantastic race. Only about 10 seconds left until we grid up.
Yeah, DJ, hair standing on the arms, on my forearms at the moment, on end. The goosebumps happening. You know, I've got a chill down my spine at the moment. I can't wait to see these cars go out for 80 laps. I mean, this 2.66 mile circuit. I mean, also one of the interesting things that I've just noticed during qualifying, we were at 41 degrees Celsius on the track temperature, which looks to be about the same. Air temperature has increased by a single degree, but the wind is going to be a key factor here as well, DJ, because when you have a crosswind around a tri-oval, it's not always so easy to circumnavigate a big circuit like this.
No, it's not, and you definitely can get a little bit of buffeting in these cars. We've seen it before. These stock cars, the way the next gen is constructed, they are made to be symmetrical. It's not like the old days of the Gen 6 cars where they were asymmetrical to help themselves go around the oval. The symmetrical nature of these cars, it allows for a little bit of a bigger box in the air to sort of be brushed over a little bit, and it certainly can hurt you just a little bit as they go around. So we're going to have to be careful. Here you can see your qualifying order as we ran you through earlier before Bruno and Power. They're making up that final row of the grid. 16 drivers out here. That's probably going to be enough for at least 2 lanes to be forming in that sort of bump draft, that momentum line that we talked about. Maybe even enough to get 3 around a wide place like Talladega.
Yeah, especially coming up towards the main sort of like church steeple point of the tri-over here, DJ. I mean, we've got a great race in prospects, and well done to Dion Neuveld for getting it on the front row, and he's got Brody Maynard alongside. So we've got a very, very interesting championship dynamic, because we've got the iRacing pace car just up ahead of the front row, but once they go it and they go 4 to the floor, I mean, we're looking forward to a cracking finale. We've got 4 of the top 6 in the hunt for the championship, with a 20-point spread from Isaac Rain and first to Sean D. Campbell, who's starting down in 13th position. They're just split by 20 points, but with Heatrick and Rain not here tonight, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, very much is. We're going to have to keep an eye there on the number 26 of Sean Campbell. As you said, he's starting all the way back down in 14th position, so he's going to have a lot of work to do to try to get his way up through the field. We focus here on that front row of Neuveld and Brody Maynard as they work their way down this long backstretch. Watch for some little bit of jockeying to be going on here. This is the main area where you're going to see that bump draft really starting to take place over the course of the race. I think this is the area where that is going to be a big thing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying earlier on, DJ, you know, this is the main point on the circuit where we can see 3 wide. But as I said earlier, if you're millimeters from the wall, the back end of your next gen, you know, Chevy, Ford or Toyota, if it's a little bit loose on the back end, you don't want that stepping out at 200 plus miles an hour, because straight away you're going to be hitting the wall. There's going to be damage on the car, and if you bring out the caution, then you get out of jail free card. But pace car peeling into the pits.
Yes, it is, as it makes its way towards pit lane here. The iRacing pace car pulling down and giving control of the field over to Dion Neuveld, waiting for the green flag to fly here from Barney the Flagman. And there it is. We are racing in Talladega. It is a great start there for Dion Neuveld. Looks like Brody Menard's going to slide in behind them. Jeff Browning leading a 3-car breakaway here as we get going. Mark Redford, Kevin Stan, Rich Matthews, Brandon Hughes, and Stuart Reynolds. A little bit of 3 wide there in the back, I'm seeing, as they make their way through turn 1 for the first time.
Yeah, you're probably looking at Hill, Yelberg and Reynolds battling over 8th, 9th and 10th position. But at the moment, the driver that's leading the way, and also possibly on that cusp, as it's going to be side by side, Maynard going to the outside of Dion Neuveld as they're going to go through into the next corner. It is nip and tuck. Jeff Browning in the sort of supposed hole shot behind Neuveld, who's still holding on to the lead. And with this long 2.66 mile oval, we're just about to complete lap number 1 out of 80. And oh, we've had a spinner already. That looked to be George Hill in the 85. That was probably a spin that Tony Hawk would have been proud of.
Yes, it was, and it looked like he made a little bit of contact there, tried to slot his way down into that lower groove, and it didn't quite work itself out, but the 85 able to continue on its own power. I don't think he made contact with the inside retaining barrier, and up front we continue to be single file. Big loser there was, unfortunately, Brody Menard, as he really fell back, losing that momentum up on the high side. Little bit of a bump draft there going on for him as the 64 of Rich Matthews tries to push him along. I'm also seeing there behind them the 35 of Stuart Reynolds trying to make that high line work.
Yeah, Jelberg also trying to make the high line work as well, but Neuveld keeping pace. Browning's right up the exhaust pipes, looking towards the outside. Mark Redford in the 77 also there or thereabouts. This is nearly 3 wide as Maynard nearly went side by side, riding on board with Jeff Browning in the 59 Ford. Got the draft, and again, I mean, looking at the fastest lap of the race so far, Dean Timms down in 12th position here, DJ, has just put in a 50.15 in the number 46. He's a place behind Sean Campbell, who's made it up from 14th to 11th, but at the moment the way things are standing is that Kevin Stam is on the precipice as we're only into our 3rd lap out of 80. The way things stand hypothetically, that Kevin Stam could be the de facto championship leader at this moment.
Yes, he could, but we still have about 78 laps of racing left to do. You can see Mark Redford getting a nice little push there from Bernie Menard on that high line as we see these 2 lines starting to separate themselves out here. This is a little bit of what we expect here at Talladega, getting a little bit close up to that high line. You see the big separation there between these 2 lines. Redford, Maynard up on the high line, Jeff Browning behind them, Dion Neuveld and Stuart Reynolds working on the low line. Here's going to come the bump draft, and that age-old idiom, never push the pusher. You've got to be a little bit careful when you get that bump draft, but it seems like the high line is the way to go right now as they've got it hooked up, but here comes Maynard down to the low line.
That was brilliantly textbook done by Brody Maynard behind Reynolds. I think it was behind Redford. Redford's gone high. Reynolds has gone with, as has Campbell, and now Timms makes it the high line top 4 as Maynard drops down to 5th position. Wills Neuveld, the pole sitter, down to 5th and 6th position. Maynard down again to 6th. He's dropping major places, and he's off! He's off down at the bottom of the circuit.
Oh my goodness, just a little bit of a bump draft there going afoul for Brody Maynard, and he is going to be in a world of hurt to try to catch back up to the rest of this field. That is not what you want to see. Yellow flag still not flying there for him as he was able to escape down onto that low road, and now it looks like the high line here has fully solidified itself with Redford, Reynolds, Campbell, and Timms running up high. Looks like Harry Wills is going to slot into that as well. Matthew Bruno and Albin Kellberg trying to see if they can get that low line working as we go back to check out this replay.
Well, it looks like Neuveld right up the back bumper. Look, little bit of touch, right front to left rear, and all of a sudden Maynard goes spinning. But because of the fact that neither car that we've seen, we had the number 85 of George Hill and now also the 92 of Brody Maynard, DJ, neither car got into significant strife. Neither of them hit the barriers. If they hit the barriers, then the caution, I would think, is probably more than likely going to go out. But we're on our 6th lap out of 80. It's been pretty clean so far. And what's really, really good is we're seeing a little bit of a pendulum swift, because now it's the inside line with Reynolds leading Timms. Wills, who's 2nd in the championship, is effectively leading the way towards the title push. But we still have 74 laps of racing around this 2.66 mile circuit as they're coming through into the top part of the tri-oval yet again. Reynolds has got Timms right on the back bumper, and then Wills right behind them. They're all, the thing is, they're all running they're all under the same awning, so to speak, and it's a bit of change here and there. Wills goes past through Timms. I think I've just seen Boschart in the 79 who's actually getting stuck in and is looking in 4th position. Neuville trying to move up the order, but currently rounding out the top 10. It's 3 wide down the back straightaway, and in the middle of that, it's Redford, who's actually leading by a fraction.
An absolutely mega run there for Mark Redford. You see him trying to move down to the low line and bringing Sean Campbell there with him. That is a successful move there from him. I did not think that middle line was going to play out quite well as that would go around, but an absolutely mega run for the 77 is now everyone jockeys their way around. Looks like Redford going to stick back up to the high line, going to hold that in there if he can. They've got to be a little bit careful there. There's the 26 there of Reynolds, as we're going to have a 3-wide situation between Bouchard, Campbell, and Wills as they go through. Big contact there in the back. That's going to be our first yellow.
Oh, and first caution confirmed to be out. The 64 of Matthews involved. I think the 24 of Matthew Bruno on the front row last time out at Homestead. Yeah, that was close, but at least a 4-car incident. Neuville has been caught out with that massive damage on the side of Matthew Bruno's car. Neuville just so we're just going to get a little bit of a replay. Now you can see the 24 in the middle. Now he gets a little bit of a tap. You can see it's getting 3 wide, and oh, slightest nudge. Bang, and the 24 gets pushed from both rear corners, and the 59 of Jeff Browning gets involved. The 24 of Matthew Bruno having nowhere to go. Then the 64 of Rich Matthews seems to be spinning in sympathy. And then all of a sudden, oh, big old roll for Brandon Hughes, who is in pit lane with a rapid repair. That car is definitely very much second hand.
Yes, it is, and that's just a little bit of an upset nature there. We're going to ride on board with the 33, a little bit of a hapless passenger in all of this. We talked about the big one here at Talladega. Yeah, just that little tip to the inside, and that is enough to send him spinning upside down again and again and again. He is able to land on his feet. I'm not sure what the status of the car is going to be, but really and truly just going there at this point. And that's going to re-rack the field. There you can see Hughes waiting for that toe to finish out for him so he can get back onto the track.
Yeah, he's currently been in the pit lane for just shy of 70 seconds. George Hill is in the 85. But Neuville, Matthews, Bruno, I mean, Bruno had a lot of scuffing on the left-hand side of that number 24. So it just goes to show that you can, and now we're seeing the first round of pit stops here, DJ. So currently coming in is the leader, Mark Redford, from first on, well, was started up in 5th place and now currently in 2nd position. But it looks like everyone's coming in. The only 2 drivers staying out are, well, Dion Neuville has gone in. Artie Boschart has stayed out for another lap, so might come in after everyone has decided to get out of the pits, and pit stops being effected rather rapidly. 6.63 was the pit stop for Mark Redford. Harry Wills 6.53. Same for Sean Campbell. Dean Timms a little bit on the slow side. Fastest pit stops so far. Albin Jelberg in the number 22, a 6.45 in the pit stop phase.
Well, and what that would tell me in those 6.6 seconds pit stops is that they're coming in just on a splash and dash of fuel to come in and get that done. What we've seen a lot of times on the super speedway races here in this next gen car is the fact that tire wear not necessarily the biggest issue. It's much more of tire temperature that comes back to bite you. And so if they're able to keep their tire temps nice and cool, they don't have to necessarily worry about changing out those tires. And it certainly looks like here that our top 7 or so did not change tires.
No, Brody Maynard, Jeff Browning and Dion Neuville looks to have made at least one side or both sides replaced on. I would probably hazard a guess that Dion Neuville, considering the incident that he was involved in, he thought, well, I've had a code brown, I'm going to replace all 4 boots on the car and get it all ship-shape in Bristol fashion. I mean, Rich Matthews exits the pit lane after 54 seconds. Matthew Bruno, I would imagine, is repairing damage right now. But you remember what I said about Sean Campbell, DJ? Started 14th, now currently in P4. He was actually up to 2nd before the yellow came out.
He was indeed, and he was part of that big run up there through the middle with Mark Redford that really allowed him to pull himself forward. So we'll have to see if more speed is able to be gained. But Campbell, thus far, running a great race in that number 26. So that is certainly going to be a boon there to him. Looking at the iRacing pace car right now, I believe those lights are still on. So we'll have at least one. Yes, they are. We'll have at least one more lap under caution here, as such a long track like this. Cautions do take a hot minute to get going.
Yeah, Matthew Bruno has finally exited pit lane as well, currently sitting in 13th position. Brandon Hughes, well, that car's going to be in there for more than just a hot minute. That's been in there for just over 4 minutes as he waits for the tow to allow him to get that car effectually repaired. That was the one that had the massive rollover at the caution earlier on, where just an innocent bystander, and all of a sudden, yeah, you find yourself, in the words of Limp Bizkit, rolling, 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 so to speak. But yeah, 13 cars out on the effectively pretty much on the same lap, apart from Matthew Bruno. Well, Matthew Bruno is a shade behind, but I would imagine that once we get up to speed once the pace car goes in, because I've just seen DJ, lights look to be out on the iRacing pace car once again to get us underway for lap 12 out of 80.
Yes, indeed. So we will go back to green flag racing here at the end of this lap. Artie Bouchard going to be leading us to the green. I've got to be a little bit careful, though, watching out for the 77 of Mark Redford. He has looked very, very quick here today. Remember, he was the one that made that middle line work with Sean Campbell, and now he's going to have that 26 of Campbell directly behind him here at this point. So I think that's going to be a big boon. We could see some good momentum working its way up on the high line.
Yeah, I think other drivers that I would look out for, Harry Wills and Dean Timms, in free practice they were running on a 49.95, so the Toyota Camry has got pace, and no, they didn't have a great run in qualifying, did Dean and Harry, but there is every possibility that those two cars, you know, you've got a Toyota Camry, you've got the Ford Mustang, anything's possible in tri-oval racing here at the Talladega Super Speedway, that known, for those historians among you, known between 1969 when it opened and 1989 when it changed to Talladega Super Speedway. It was known as the Alabama International Motor Speedway. Talladega, around about 50 miles east of Birmingham, Alabama as well.
Exactly, and a good place in the world for racing as Barber Motorsports Park, not too far away from here as well, so plenty of good stuff to go. But we're not worried about Barber right now. We're worried about Artie Bouchard and the lead of this race as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here at Talladega. Waiting for Artie to get on it, and there goes the field. We are back racing here at Dega. Now, one of the things we always talk about in super speedway racing, you actually don't want to get that big of a jump because you will get swallowed up by the rest of the field here, and I think a little bit too much of a jump there for Artie as Redford and Campbell starting to work that high lane. Looks like they've got Kevin Stam helping them as well. You can see that momentum.
I mean, it's not just the factors being on the high side, you're also getting the side draft. I mean, a lot of people think of the draft when you're directly behind the car in front, but the side draft is so important here in oval racing that Redford has made it work. Is bringing Sean Campbell along with them. They're both going high and wide, and you see, I mean, Maynard's coming back into this, the number 92 back up into 6th position, right at the end of the train, being led by Redford, Campbell, Stam, Timms, Yelberg and Maynard. Wills is not too far behind. Reynolds, Boschart, who was leading on the restart, now up to 8th, down to 8th place ahead of Reynolds and Browning. But Redford's making it work, and with Campbell and Timms, I mean, Stam's looking up the inside, the number 6. Yelberg and Maynard could possibly put the frighteners on the likes of Campbell and Redford. And look at this run down through onto the back straightaway here, DJ. It is nip and tuck. No one wants to give an inch. No one wants to take a mile.
No, they do not, and you can see just how close they're running. Nice little bump draft there from Alvin Kelberg to the back of Kevin Stam. Is that low line starting to gain momentum? It's about 5 cars down on the low line, 5 cars down up on the high line. So a little bit back and forth here. This is what we thought we were going to be seeing in the form of super speedway racing. I'm a little bit surprised here that we're not seeing these drivers get a little bit closer together, utilize that side draft like you talked about, but they are making it work here right now. Everybody jockeying around a little bit going into turn one. Not going to be a lot of bump drafting here, just trying to lift off on the throttle a little bit and line yourself up for the back straight.
Also, with regards to these vehicles, these engines are going to be running rather hot. So one of the things that you need to do sometimes is just pull out from behind the car in front of you, just to get a little bit of couple of degrees worth of cool air into the radiators, because we all know that even in the sim racing world, cooling and heating on engines is paramount to the performance of the vehicle. And over the course of a race distance, considering the fact that we're running just north of 210 miles for the total race distance here at Talladega Super Speedway, where engines are revving, as we can see now. We're on board with Sean Campbell running in 6th place at the minute, behind Redford in the 77 Toyota Camry. They're running at 8,000 plus RPM, the engine being under such duress for that amount of time, and now the low line being led by Kevin Stamm in the number 6, with Albin Jelberg, Stuart Reynolds and Jeff Browning leading. That's the top 4, and the low line now starting to work in the favour of them as opposed to the high line. But as soon as we now go into turn number 3, Maynard's on the outside line. He's pulling a little bit further towards the left, hoping that side draft might help him springboard past the cars in front here, DJ.
And that's exactly the kind of thinking that you want to be doing around here to try to get your way back up towards the front of the field. Stan Calvert, Kjellberg, and Reynolds continuing to lead right now, although it does look like Stuart Reynolds hopping up to that high line, seeing if he can get a little bit of energy there, but it looks like everybody has backed out of it, and it's going to be him and Brody Maynard, the only two up on the high line here as everybody else goes down low.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's decided that the low line's going to be the best line, but if you can keep it high, wide and handsome on the outside line and it works, I mean, Maynard has lost a bag full of positions, and along with that, DJ, a bag full of momentum. He's going to be outside of the top 10 very shortly, and he's going to drop back to the end of this, so that's going to put him P10, which has been confirmed by the live timing on the tower. We're on lap number 16 out of 80, and now Maynard's going to have to start using the slipstream. Now, he's got Campbell in front of him. Now, Campbell has been more at the sharper end of the grid of the field earlier on in this race, as we're about to hit a quarter distance in terms of laps completed. But you know, sometimes on a super speedway like this, you can see that they're pushing nearly 300 kilometers an hour. That's 186 miles an hour in layman's terms for you people that like miles per hour, instead of wondering about what the heck is 300 Ks on a NASCAR, and also on the telemetry that we've just seen. But it's about patience now. You've got to make sure that you cross the T's, you dot the I's, and you don't make mistakes. Maynard had that big tank slapper and went around. So did George Hill in 14th position. You've just got to make sure that if you can just be in the right place at the right time, especially when we've got 5 to go, 3 to go, and you've just gone through a caution, you need to be on absolute point here, DJ, to make sure that you don't get caught napping, but you don't get too much of jump like we found with Boschart earlier on.
Very much so. You have just got to play this right and keep everything together as they come around and work their way around right now. Very simple. Brony Maynard here working down on the low line. It looks like Maynard now trying to go up onto the high line as they go. He's going to be running side by side with the 79 of Artie Buschart. And remember, Buschart was the one who did not take the pit stop last time out. Now it looks like here that Maynard, Redford, Campbell, Reynolds, a few of them trying to work that high lane, get the second groove going, seeing if they can get it to roll. But gonna have to see what they do here, because right now it only looks like they've got 2 cars working that high lane.
Yeah, I think Boschart's possibly waiting for another caution as well. But the more that Boschart, you know, if he's fueled that car to go for a very long opening stint before he gets the opportunities. It's 3 wide at the back part of the top 10 between Redford, Reynolds and Campbell. Redford was on the inside. We're on board with Jeff Browning, who's currently sitting behind Albin Jelberg in the number 22, running the Joey Logano livery, I see, the Pennzoil liveried Ford Mustang, with Stam still leading the way in the number 6 Toyota Camry as we're about to come up to a quarter distance. But Stam is really putting himself in the title picture right now, currently running P4 on 2:32. Isaac Rain 9 points ahead. But then you look at where everybody else is. Wills is currently second in the standings, but is fourth at the moment. Redford is down in 6th position, third in the championship standings. Heatrick not here. Campbell running in P8, having started 14th. And we've still got 60 laps to go, DJ. I mean, this is a real cat and mouse game here at Talladega.
Yeah, it really and truly is, as they go very, very single file here, as it looks like that high lane not exactly working out. You need those people to be working around you. You need those buddies, and right now it just looks like everybody's pretty much locked in to running down a low line stuff, just trying to get to the end of the race like we talked about earlier, just getting to that last final 10 to 5 laps to really make that push.
I think also with the fact that the side draft can sometimes make the car's back end a little bit loose, as Jelberg, very close to the back bumper as they come out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway heading into turns 3 and 4. Jelberg right up close and personal to the back bumper of Kevin Stam in the number 6 car, as Brody Maynard goes high, wide and handsome once again. And that has, now he's currently looking on the outside of the number 77 of Mark Redford, but now he's now behind Sean Campbell, who's back up into 7th position. But I have to give props to Kevin Stam for keeping everyone in single file. No one's really putting their cards fully on the table, a bit like Casino Royale, where you've got James Bond playing against the bad guy and waiting to put his hand in to say, right, I'm all in, let's put it all on the table. No one's really done that yet, TJ, but I think it's all going to come down to strategy. You know, Boschart is hoping for another caution. We're on to our 22nd lap out of 80. If Boschart gets his wish and hopes for a miracle that is the fact of a second caution of the race, that's going to be in his favour, because if he's fueled it for a long time, that could be a good strategy call, but it's whether that second caution comes out is another matter altogether.
Yeah, another matter altogether to see is it's been pretty clear in green running from here on out, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see everybody keeping things a little bit together, seeing some drivers starting to try to work their way up onto the high line. Looks like Campbell thought about going up there. You see Boschart there in the back also thinking about it as well.
Yeah, Rich Matthews is in the pit lane as well in the number 64. Was in there for just under 11.5 seconds. And that was one of the cars involved in the earlier incident that saw the number 33 of Brandon Hughes go rolling. But it's still, it's a tenth of a second between Messrs. Stam, Jelberg and Browning, as here goes, well, a little bit further back, Brody Maynard alongside Artie Boschart. And they're both battling. That is for the battle for the top 10. Maynard to the inside, Boschart to the outside, but Maynard was getting the run on the inside line, but Boschart managed to slingshot using the side draft very nicely there to get past the number 92, one of the brightest liveries I think I've ever seen on a NASCAR in my life. But look at the pull that Maynard has got. He has an absolute whirling dervish of a slipstream, little bit of a touch to the back bumper of Boschart, but no harm, no foul there. You can just see that Maynard's having to lift off of the throttle. You know, he'll be pushing over 8,300 RPM on this engine. Look, 8,000, nearly 8,400 on the rev counter. And then there'll be times when he has to back out going through the corners, and that rev limiter there, DJ, will go down to about 8k when he has to sort of go, right, I'm a bit closer to the bumper on the car in front. I better just lift off.
Yeah, better just lift off a little bit. And also what you talked about with that over-revving a little bit of the engine, you don't want to put yourself in that position to potentially blow the engine, as that is a very, very real concern here. As we jump back to check in on that front pack right there, looks like Jeff Browning just taking a little bit of a poke up to see what he can do. And then falling back down a little bit as they go. Everybody wanting to stay in single file right now, not wanting to make that move. Little bit of coming together there between Sam Kjellberg and Browning as they are there, and it looks like Browning now trying to poke his nose to the outside a little bit, see if he can get some of that clean, cool air into that radiator. Really everybody just doing the calm and patient things that are required here to be able to run a good race at Talladega.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is now you see the gap between Stuart Reynolds and Artie Boschart. That gap has now increased the best part of just north of 3.2 seconds and climbing as well. So it looks like Artie Boschart and Brody Maynard will be out of contention for the victory, even though Maynard and Boschart might come back into this a little bit later on. But they're coming up to lap one of the back markers, which I believe is that's Matthew Bruno in the number 24, which has just been confirmed. I think that's probably a little bit of a demoralising sight for Matthew Bruno, who was 9th in the standings coming into this final championship round here, the WSL NASCAR Series EU. Big thank you to Go For The Gap and also SIM3D for their backing of the championship as well. But you can see now that there's a little bit of twitchiness here. Kjellberg and Browning now trying to keep the pressure on Stam, but Wills, Timms, Redford, Campbell, they are, and then also at the back end of that train is Stuart Reynolds. That train, DJ, is covered by 9/10. One wrong move from somebody, I think the big one would be imminent.
I have to agree with you there. And remember, the one crucial thing out of all of this is that Jeff Browning was the only driver to have taken tires on that last stop. So he may have himself just a little bit of an advantage as they go through. But right now, he is the one there, third in line, just kind of poking his nose out this way and that, keeping that cool air down onto the radiator. A little bit of a defensive run there from Kevin Stam, just holding on to that down lower line. Looks like almost a little bit of a bump draft there from Browning onto Kjellberg as they continue to go, flying through the tri-oval, passing the start-finish line here as they go. Nobody really wanting to make a big move here. And I've got to say, you talked about the 9/10 separating this gap up here, this gaggle that we see. Well, it's about 5.5 seconds down to Artie Boschart, who has completely fallen off. You can't even see him. There he is on the back of your screen. Boschart and Brody Maynard, who are way behind this.
Well, considering the fact that Brody and Stuart, Brody and Artie are running in the low 52s, everyone else in front are running at least 7 to 8 tenths of a lap quicker. Kevin Stam is actually the quickest out there. Last lap around from the number 6 was a 51.16 lap time. Kjellberg and Browning 51.18. Harry Wills, Timms, Redford, Campbell, Reynolds, they're all running in the low to high 51.2 second lap time. So with the fact that all this bump drafting is happening between this top 8, they're keeping things reserved. And also, one of the good things is that Stuart Reynolds, if he had the almightiest mother of toes, he could use that to very, very good effect. But what this is also helping is that if you're in that dirtier air, you're also getting a little bit of fuel saving in terms of fuel mileage per lap. Now, we know that 2.66 miles here, DJ, is incredibly long, as you said at the top of the broadcast. That is one of the longest, if not the longest, in NASCAR racing circles in terms of the circuit length. But the more that you can sip on that fuel over the course of the 2.66 miles per lap, as we've now gone into lap number 30 out of 80, I think that maybe Campbell, Reynolds, Redford, Timms could be in a very, very good place, because they'll be saving more fuel than the quartet in front, because Stam is the one that's punching a hole through that dirty air and using up all that fuel. And I bet you that Kevin Stam's throttle is more wound up than the likes of Kjellberg. Wills is just overtaking Browning, so now we're going into that 2x2 hurrah formation. And Browning got a little bit down underneath the yellow lines at the bottom of the circuit. Very, very close indeed. But look what this is doing. This is bringing in the likes of Wills, who's just gone round the outside of... Wills has now taken the lead on the high side of the race. So, again, they've gone with the approach that the three teammates who are running in different Gen 3 cars, 2 Toyota Camrys and 1 Mustang. And then you look at the bottom, you've got one Toyota Camry leading the way. And then, look, they're having to get past the back marker that they're getting through on. That will probably more than likely be Matthews again, who is out on the outside of the back straightaway. But it's Wills, Timms and Reynolds, the three teammates. And Wills has got himself in the position where, with 9 laps to go until we hit the half distance point here, DJ, there are more. I've got a feeling there's going to be more twists and turns to come than the never-ending story.
I have to agree with you there, and I think the one thing to really keep an eye on there, the 95, the 46, and the 35, Wills, Timms, and Reynolds, they worked together. They jumped out as a trio to really get that gap up there, push themselves out, and be able to power on by. And we need to see that kind of camaraderie, that teamwork from the rest of the field. It's one of the things that you really need to be doing here at Talladega. The Twisted Racing drivers, all 3 of them up front, that was a coordinated move together, and that is what we need to see from the rest of the pack if they want to try to challenge right now, because as it runs, I don't think they're going to have a whole lot of luck trying to get up and by him, as we now ride on board with Artie Bouchard, who looks like he may be losing the lap here soon. Yeah,
Matthew Bruno's now back in pit lane on lap 32 out of 80. So yeah, Artie Bouchard, yeah, pole on the restart, and yeah, finds himself absolutely nowhere in the Chevrolet. But that just goes to show. I mean, we saw that in the previous race at Homestead, DJ, where yourself and David were commentating. It was a case that you want to have that caution, to have that free pit stop. But here we've had what was it? We've had 1 or 2 cautions already. And now we're seeing drivers that were at the front end of the field. I mean, Neuveld, who was leading, who was on pole position for this season finale, currently sitting in P10, and now Wills is probably thinking, you know what, I want it to stay like this for the next 47 laps. Let's see with the guys, because the guys behind will play rear gunner. It's a bit like Iceman and Maverick out of Top Gun, you know. Wills has got his wingmen behind him. And now, look, you see Stam trying to get a move on Reynolds to get past. And Reynolds like, hey, you got to do better than that, buddy. I don't care if you got your crosshairs locked on me. You got to do better than that to try and get past me, get past Dean, and get past Harry if you want to start leading the race again. Because we're not going to make it easy by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, exactly. As they go, they do not want to let absolutely anybody on by. And I thought for a second there that we may see a little bit of playing together as they got by some of that lap cars, but it's not going to be that way. Everybody continuing to just work on that low lane here. We watch Stuart Reynolds getting a little bit of clean air into that front radiator as we get ready to start lap 35 as they go around trying to see what they can get up and going here. Waiting as they go through, not seeing any movement there from the back as they continue to go, trying to figure out what everything is going to be, and everybody's staying low here. Little bit of side-by-side there into the back. Dion Neuveld getting clear and by everybody as they go. Jeff Browning going to be the next car that gets lapped as they go around. Excuse me, that's Bouchard there in the back. You can see that creating a little bit of the side draft as Bouchard desperately trying to hold on to this run here. He does not want to lose any more time because he knows if he loses touch with this pack, he is going to be gone.
I think he already realizes that he's gone, and out of the way is now all right. 5 cars heading into pit road. Wills is in, Timms is in, Reynolds is in, Kevin Stamm, and also Jelberg. Neuveld has gone in, and so has George Hill. So that's now given the lead to Redford, with Campbell, who started P14 35 laps ago, now up into P2 once again. Gap between them just shy of 0.3 of a second. So Wills and Timms might be one of the first couple of drivers out. Brody Maynard has been in 18.85 seconds for the number 92. So that might give him an opportunity. Well, he's coming in. Harry Wills, 12.82. Dean Timms, 12.53 on pit road. 11.48 for Alvin Jelberg. Kevin Stamm, 12 seconds. Brody Maynard in the pit lane. Dion Neuveld has been in the pit lane for north of 40 seconds. So, yeah, looks like Harry Wills might have put on a little bit more fuel in that car of his there, DJ. But Albin Jelberg having the quickest of the pit stops on that particular pit stop phase on what was lap number 36 of this race.
Yeah, so that means that we certainly do have a little bit of a shuffled around order here with Rich Matthews and Jeff Browning in this whole gaggle of cars right now that are a lap down effectively as they run. It'll be interesting to see here if Redford and Campbell, though, decide to come down pit lane. If they do, they might find themselves losing a little bit of time. You can see there, Bouchard just trying to stay out of the way. See that indication if they choose to come down. It looks like there. Whoa, later on in the binders, there is Sean Campbell. That is a great run down pit lane.
Hopefully he doesn't get a pit speeding violation for that one. I hope he got on the speed limit right as he crossed the line. But I've seen drag races like that, but it's getting a bit interesting here between Jelberg, Stamm and Wills. This is the battle for the de facto lead because both Redford and Campbell are in the pits. And yeah, Redford has been in there for a little bit longer. He might get out and get the jump on Campbell, who did the Daniel Ricciardo lick the stamp and send it going into pit road. But yeah, this battle here, I mean, Jelberg's got a great run, but Stamm and Wills are going to be hustling the number 22 Ford Mustang Next Gen NASCAR vehicle as they cross the line once again onto another lap. This is going to be so close at the end of it. I think we're going to have a photo finish here, DJ, because and that's not on the race itself. It's going to be a photo finish on who wins the title.
And we have got very, very long stops here for both Redford and Campbell. I'm seeing upwards of 45 seconds going across here. That is absolutely ridiculous. Such long time.
Yeah, that might mean, are they actually repairing damage? If there's, because Redford's now out, 51.63 seconds. Sean Campbell has been in there for north of 1:07 on the clock. So that is a disaster for Sean Campbell, one of 4 out of the top 6 that was in contention for the title. Could that mean, I mean, he's been in there north of 1:20 now. I think Sean Campbell's race is done. That's over. His title push is at an end.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what happened there to Campbell. I mean, this is exceeding what I would normally call a pit stop penalty there. I don't know what happened to Campbell.
I think that's something we need to investigate, and maybe we can possibly have a chat with Sean after the race is done and dusted, DJ. But you know, we're now coming up to half time, you know, heading on to very shortly what's going to be lap 40 out of 80. You know, this is so close. I mean, we're now going to see a replay here. Oh, he's just had it.
He
right.
missed the stall.
He missed the pit box, so it's an instant penalty as a direct result, isn't it?
Yeah, he went back, and it looks like there that he missed his stall. He knew it. He stopped the car, and he went and took a tow to get himself back down pit lane. Oh, my goodness. And there it looks like the 64 is coming to a halt onto the back straightaway. That's Rich Matthews. I'm not sure if there was contact there or what exactly caused that for Matthews to ostensibly just park the car.
Who knows? I mean, the thing is that it didn't look like that on the replay there, if I'm completely honest with you. But Jelberg and Stamm now have pulled away from Wills, and the gap between second and third is just 0.6 of a second. But this is going to get rather interesting in terms of the fact that we've now got 2 drivers battling away. And the thing is, if they keep on battling like this is going to allow Harry Wills, I mean, Harry Wills now knows that he's got an opportunity and he's in that right place. He doesn't necessarily need to go for the W to take the title. If he places 4th or higher, I think he's pretty much got it in the bag, because Stamm is 6 points behind him. I mean, what is it, 40 points for a win, 38 for second, 37th for third. I think that Wills has still got that opportunity. If he's P3, P4, I think he'll know in his heart of hearts that he'll have that title once we come across the line and get the checkered after 80 laps.
Yeah, he's just got to try to keep himself ahead of Kevin Stam here. I think that has got to be his goal as they go. And so it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. Maybe he plays this a little bit more cautiously, that they continue to go around really trying to see what they can do. Everything relatively calm as we are over the halfway point with Kjellberg leading from Stam, from Wills, from Reynolds. But some, frankly, fascinating points drama playing out.
Yeah, I mean, especially when we talked at the top of the broadcast, you know, the top 6 coming into this split by 20 points, and already Heatrick out, Rain out, because, well, Heatrick and Rain not here tonight. Campbell has been in the pits now for nearly 4.5 minutes, so we're going to get another replay here. Oh, this is going to be a bit close between Neuveld and Boschart, I think. Oh! And that's the number 59. That's Jeff Browning. Oh, a little bit of a touch between the two, and it brings and that was Neuveld, and that was very borderline on bringing out another caution flag. But luckily enough, we were still at green flag racing there, DJ.
Yes, we are, and that is good for us, but I've got to think that if you are the likes here of Jeff Browning, Boschart, maybe Dean Timms right now, they're going to be hoping for those yellows to come out because they want to be able to get that lucky dog. They want to be able to get their lap back if at all possible.
Yeah, Boschart's hit the pit lane, so, well, I'm not at all surprised that Jeff Browning was in there, but Dion Neuveld, I don't think, might have just copped a little bit of superficial damage through that contretemps happening just then. But, you know, when two or three, you know, you've got 2 cars running so close together and they just so happen to be teammates, then another car comes along. They do say that 2's company, 3's a crowd, and we saw that, unfortunately, Jeff Browning was on the receiving end of an unwilling incident.
Yes, he was, and that's just some of that coming together that can happen around here when you're racing at these high speeds that we keep talking about. Big move in the back there from the lapped car of Mark Redford as he tries to make his way up onto the high line here to see if he can get that to work a little bit. Remember, Redford is a lap down right now. He is the first car a lap down, so he wants to try to secure that position and be as far up as possible. Now, these drivers are starting to close in on the back of Brody Menard and George Hill. If they are to catch up on them, then Redford would lose that potential lucky dog position, and he does not want to have that happen. He wants to stay in line here and continue to run as fast, as hard as he can.
Yeah, it looks like Dion Neuveld is not going to be getting back out on track. He's just put in the driver chat on the Discord saying that too much damage to get back out on the circuit. That's a real shame for Dion Neuveld, who did a fantastic job in time qualifying earlier on this evening to put it on pole. And that's a real shame. You know, when the driver has such great running quality and then the race just, you get a sort of a spanner thrown in the works. I really feel for Dion Neuveld because it could have really ended his season on a great high, but we know that some drivers will be doing that. Maynard is now coming under fire, and he's just gone a lap down, so it's the top 4 are still on the lead lap. So that's Albin Kjellberg, Kevin Stam, Harry Wills and Stuart Reynolds. Those are the 4 drivers. That's the 22, the 6, the 95 and the 35, all on the lead lap, with Maynard now behind Mark Redford. So there's been a change for 5th place, and Brody Maynard starting on the outside of the front row alongside Dion Neuveld, who won't be rejoining the race. The cat has been truly put amongst the pigeons here tonight, DJ.
Yes, it very much has. We're going to have to see what exactly that feline decides to do. The battle here in the back really to stay on the lucky dog position. A lot of jostling around there. Things getting a little bit hairy there. That's Matthew Bruno trying to maybe give a little bit of a bump here to Kevin Stam. Almost 3 wide as they come across there. That's going to be Harry Wills trying to push his way forward. He's going to get a little bit of a bump in the back from Kevin Stam as they come across. Sort this out, boys. Very close. Almost chopping off the nose there of Albin Kjellberg.
2 tenths covering the top 3, and now you're going to see that I mean, this is a real bit of a power play here from Matthew Bruno, who now started down in 15th, didn't set a lap in time qualifying, now up into P8, but is bringing along Redford, who now is back on the lead lap. This is all changing as as we see Maynard now using the high line, well, the midline on the circuit, whereas down below underneath is Harry Wills. You know, this side draft is now coming back into play, and now Maynard gets behind Wills. Wills now pulls to the outside of Stamm in the number 6, but now this is going to give the opportunity for Maynard to go up the inside of the number 95, and that could, if he gets past Stamm, then Maynard will be back on the lead lap, so we'll have 6 cars, but then it's down to the likes of Redford and Maynard to start pulling away. They've got to try and get that lucky dog, as you said, get that lap back, get themselves back on even keel, as I don't know what Matthew Bruno's doing at the moment, but Redford is getting an absolute toe and a half, but now it's bringing in Kevin Stamm.
Yes, it is. All of these drivers jockeying around. And as we said, remember, some of this not for position necessarily. It is a little bit all over the place as they go. But very, very interesting racing to see how everything plays itself out here at this point. Continues to be Stamm and Kjellberg up front, but they're separated out a little bit by Brody Maynard in between them. Looks like there that Brody's trying to get a little forced around there. Stamm trying to get a little bit of a push from Brody Maynard, almost a block there from the 77 as they come around, trying to see what it is. Looks like that is going to be Kevin Stamm trying to make a move for the lead. Is he going to be able to have it as they go?
Yeah, Kevin Stamm still has the lead at the moment. I mean, Kjellberg is actually boxed in down on the low side of the circuit behind Matthew Bruno and also Mark Redford. So Kevin Stamm is being sort of slightly bumped off along by Brody Maynard. And then you've got the number 85 car. That's of George Hill, who's now made his way back up to 9th. We've got several cars out. Browning still in the pits north of 5.5 minutes. Artie Boschart is in as well. Sean Campbell rejoins after 9 minutes 54 seconds in pit road. Dion Neuveld, Rich Matthews and Robbie Power out of the race. But this is where, with 30 to go here, DJ, I've just been having a look. The fastest lap so far in this race, Matthew Bruno, second quickest, says it's all for themselves, handbags at dawn. Sean Campbell has set the fastest lap of anybody in this race of 50.17. Leaders at the moment, Albin Kjellberg, 50.99. Harry Wills, 50.83. And now Kevin Stamm is getting the almightiest mothers of push-alongs right now, because he's got Brody Maynard right up his rear bumper.
Yes, he does, and that is a big, big bump draft there for Brody Maynard. Matthew Bruno just kind of watching on in the background a little bit. We focus back on third place rather, though, as Albin Kjellberg trying to find a way around. That is going to be Harry Wills up to the high side there in the 95. He's going to be left out dancing without a partner right now, trying to get a little bit of a side draft from his teammate as they run. But I'm not sure how well that's going to do. They're going to slot into the line, give a big shove there to Mark Redford. Careful not to push the pusher.
I'm just wondering here, DJ, that, as I said earlier, 40 points for a win. It's 38 for second, right? I think, and then 36 for third. Let's put it this way. The way things stand at the moment, Harry Wills could pick up the title, but it will be by next to nothing. The gap between him and Kevin Stamm was 6 points coming into this final round here at Talladega Super Speedway. By my estimation, Harry Willis might just pick up the title by a couple of points.
I think he could, but we still have a lot of racing left to do here. Focusing in on that leading group right now. Kevin Stamm really starting to pull himself away. A little bit of a spread out here in the back with Harry Wills and Albin Kjellberg. The battle for second right now really looking like where that action is at. 2 cars in between Kjellberg and Wills in the form of Redford and Timms as they go around. Looks like a little bit of a bump draft there from Mark Redford as they come off of the corner.
I mean, I'm just seeing some of the pace now being set. Brody Maynard, 50.63. Current race leader, Kevin Stamm, just on the previous lap, did a 50.69, just put in a 50.8. So from first to fifth, those times are starting to improve. I mean, the fact of the matter is here, DJ, is that the track has significantly evolved over the last 53 laps with 27 to go on the counter. I think we could see that some drivers are really going to start pushing, and whenever they decide to make their final stop, there will be some that will be eking out the fuel mileage, as that was Sean Campbell coming into pit road, now sitting in 11th position, the number 26 Mustang into the pit lane. Kevin Stamm still leading, but look at the gap he's got over Albin Jelberg. It's nearly 4.5 seconds and climbing.
And Kjellberg here is going to be absolutely begging for a caution to come out to bunch this field back up together, as is, I think, potentially Brody Maynard, who currently sits as the driver right now in the lucky dog position. But with only about 25 or so laps to go, time's starting to run out a little bit for the rest of these drivers. They have been able to keep everything clean and green. Only one caution out here today. Kevin Stamm, as you said, just absolutely driving a fantastic race, really being able to pull away from the rest of the field and keep his race alive as he pulls along the 92 with him.
Yeah, just also looking at the lap time, Stuart Reynolds in the number 35 has done the slowest lap time out of the top 8, 54.45. Everyone else running in the 50.6s, Kevin Stamm 50.61, Brody Maynard 50.6, Albin Jelberg 50.75, Harry Willis 50.94, Mark Redford in the 50.7s, Matthew Bruno in 7th position, now running in the 50.58s. So the pace is coming to the drivers as the fuel is actually running down, but some are really taking advantage. And this is now what I'm seeing here from Kevin Stamm. You said about him doing a really, really good job at the moment. We've got 25 to go here, DJ. He is driving, he's not driving the wheels off the car. He's being very, very cautious, very, very strategic, because now, if he gets a if he now gets in behind these 3 cars in front, being led by Brody Maynard, with Stuart Reynolds being the car on the back end of the train, Matthew Bruno the car in the middle, he's doing the right thing. He's making everyone else do the hard work, whereas he just has to sit back and say, that's a pretty good, nice Thursday night drive here at Talladega Super Speedway.
Well, and as we say it, he's looking here to make a little bit of a move, though. It looks like Kevin Stamm just hit the fuel number he needed to do, and now he's going to pull himself nice and forward right now. That's going to plug him up behind Brody Maynard, and that is going to put him into second place in this group, although he still has about a 4.7-second gap over Kjellberg and Wills behind them. I'm curious here. Thought for a second that Kevin Stamm may have been thinking about going down pit lane, but it looks like he's not going to do that. He's going to stay running here. Matthew Bruno taking a little bit of a poke to the outside there. Stuart Reynolds just lurking behind, waiting to see what this can be. And to your point, he may be trying to save a little bit of fuel here, maybe Kevin Stamm, not wanting to lead as he led a good chunk of this race. Now that he's tucked in behind Brody, he's just going to be able to lift off the throttle a little bit more and run a little bit leaner on that fuel.
Yeah, I mean, with the fuel numbers, I mean, of course, the majority of the field pitted on lap number 35, and that was the top 5, including Stuart Reynolds, who was still a lap down. So when you think about it, it was at the first caution, so Kevin Stamm would have been one of the first drivers to have come in on lap 10. So 25 lap situation between pit stops, but now everyone has been at flat chat. Oh, was that a bit of lock-up of brakes from Brody Maynard as well as Kevin Stamm? They now hit the pit lane at lap 57 out of 80, so we've got 23 to go. This could be a very good telling point on how much fuel some drivers might put in, because one of the things they don't want to get caught out with here, DJ, is a splash and dash situation with 5 to go. They do that, the race is over. If Kevin Stamm does that, his title opportunity goes by the wayside. The same for Harry Willis, and Kevin Stamm has just been in the pits for 10.3 seconds.
All right, so looking on those pit stops we saw there from Stamm, no tires taken on that fuel-only run here for the number 6. So he is going to be back out and on his way. Big move down to the inside there for Albin Kjellberg. I've got to be thinking he is going to be wanting to come down pit lane here soon, but he is going to opt to stay out, wanting to work with the drivers around him. I think he is going to be hoping that Stamm is going to be left out a little bit and not able to necessarily be run in a big of a pack. Run in a big of a pack. And he is going to be hoping that Stamm is going to be left out a little bit and not able to necessarily be run in a big of a pack. And he is going to be hoping that Stamm is going to be left out a little bit and not able to necessarily be run in a big of a pack. And he is going to be hoping that Stamm is going to be left out a little bit and not able to necessarily be run in a big of a pack. And he is going to be hoping that Stamm is going to be left out a little bit and not able to necessarily be run in a big of a pack. And he is going to be hoping that Stamm is going to be left out a little bit and not able to necessarily be run in a big of a pack. And he is going to be hoping that Stamm is going to be left out a little bit and not able to necessarily be run in a big of a pack. And he is going to be hoping that Stamm is going to be left out a little bit and not able to necessarily be run in a big of a pack. And he is going to be hoping that Stamm is going to be left out a little bit and not able to necessarily be run in a big of Here they continue to go around. We watch Albin Kjellberg as they work around here, waiting to see here as he comes off of 3 and 4 to see if he'll maybe make that opt to come down pit lane. We have to imagine that he needs a little bit more fuel, but it doesn't look like he's going to indicate here. He is going to keep on going, Alex.
One of the biggest things I've just noticed as well here, DJ, is that Harry Willis was in the pit lane for just 4 seconds shy of a minute. So that means to me that that car is probably decided to fuel it and then also to have a significant tyre change. But has he had to repair damage? Now that still puts him 4th position, which by my reckoning still keeps him in the hunt for the title, because it's between him, well, and also you've got Redford in between Wills and Stam. So I think Wills might get it by basically the skin of the virtual Nomex on his backside right now, because we're nearly at the 3/4 distance, because after this, when Albin Kjellberg crosses the line, he now decides to jump into pit road. How late is he on the brakes, because everyone else has been locking up in front of him. Now this is going to give Kevin Stam the race lead back very, very shortly, as hopefully Kjellberg does not have a drama like Sean Campbell did earlier on. And there is Stam now making his way down the latter part of the back straightaway, heading into turns 3 and 4 before the crest of the tri-oval. This is going to be a rather interesting final 20 laps. One quarter of the race left to go, 60 down, 20 remaining.
Yes, indeed. And as Kjellberg is down pit lane right now, he is rolling. So this is going to be something resembling closeness, as Kjellberg has to get up to speed. There you can see that bright yellow machine onto the apron, starting to warm himself up a little bit. He has just got to hope that he will be able to hold on to the back of this draft. Oh, I think he's going to be left out a little bit here. He starts to get up to speed, crosses over the blend line. He's going to be about 0.8 of a second back. So he was able to gain about 3.5 seconds over the course of that pit stop cycle.
Yeah, considering the fact that his pit stop was 1.7 seconds slower than Kevin Stam's, gap between them now starting to climb a little bit as Kjellberg starts to get the tyres up to temp and everything like that. He's about 2.1 seconds adrift. That gap is starting to climb because Kevin Stam is very, very using a lot of strategic nous here. Because he's got the, I think that is the 59 of Browning, well no, not the 59 of Browning, maybe the 77 of Redford, or maybe even Reynolds there behind him. So he's maximising the amount of fuel mileage he's getting per lap with 19 to go on the clock. I think if he's judged this really, really well, Kevin Stam will be happy with the victory. Now, considering the fact that he has not had one this season, Isaac Rain has had 3 of rounds 4, 6 and 7. Harry Willis won round 3 a little bit earlier on, but has been in the sharper end of the grid. Has been in the top 5 for the majority of this season. Kevin Stam not yet had a win this season. Sean Campbell took 3 race victories this season, but has had a couple of 0 points finishes, which put him all the way down in 6th place. And now he's going to be licking his wounds a little bit. Oh, Kjellberg's back in the pits. Why on earth was that? Was that for a pit speed violation, maybe?
That's the only thing I can think of here at this point, that it would be that, as he's going to come down. Looks like he's going to be coming in here. Did he misfuel the car, I wonder?
Possibly. Because Redford's now in the pits as well, the number 77 car from 3rd place. So Kjellberg was in there for an additional 7.4 seconds. Oh, that now the gap between Stam and Kjellberg is extending. So yeah, that could be a bit of an interesting dynamic here on how the race plans out and how the title gets eventually secured by one driver, which looks to be the number 95 of Harry Wills, currently sitting in 3rd place.
All right. right, as we see what plays out here, this is absolutely fascinating to see it all play out the way that it does. We focus here on Harry Wills in that group of several drivers right now. Wills just ahead of Stuart Reynolds. That is a battle for position. Mark Redford the closest behind, and he is about, let's call it about a quarter of the track behind them. Everybody else that's running around here, Kevin Stam, who is a part of this now, he is actually your race leader. Matthew Bruno a lap down as they run, as is Brody Maynard. So a big sort of clump of different drivers here on different laps.
Yeah, it's I think the strategy is still going to play its hand here, because what effectively the two cars in front there will want to do, I mean, you've got Wills and Reynolds literally line astern. They've got Redford not too far behind. Stam is trying to put a lap down on them. Maynard's wanting to get a lap back, so he wants to get the lucky dog back on his side and then start pushing. But Wills is going to try and, when it's Wills and Reynolds, who are nearly at some point side by side, but they don't want to be completely side by side, because what that's going to do is allow the likes of Maynard, Redford to have a real good run on them going through a particular corner on the circuit, like coming through the tri-oval, the top part of the tri-oval here. It's easy to be a rear gunner, but then if you accidentally step out of line, or you give the opportunity, like we're going to see now, Maynard and Stam round the outside, high and wide. That's going through the exit of turn number 2 and on the back straightaway. Look at the run they get. So Stam's now going to put a lap down on Willis and Reynolds. Maynard is going to be, well, I'm just having a look at, yeah, Maynard's still a lap down, but this is giving Stam the opportunity he needs, because look at the gap between him and Jelberg. It is slowly increasing. And when Kevin Stam running on a 52.15 on his previous lap, that's 5.5 seconds, and there is Jelberg. Jelberg, because of a double pit stop, now is at the mercy of Stam, who could put everyone down a lap with 14 to go. It's crazy.
Absolutely bonkers here, closing for this race. Only 14 to go, as you said. There is Kjellberg right up ahead of him. Yeah, I think there's a very good chance here that Kevin Stam is going to be able to put this entire field a lap down. Who would have thought that, running at Talladega?
Yeah, it's, as you said, absolutely bonkers. And Justin Delano says, I'm so confused as how the first pit stop shuffled everything so much. Justin, that makes us here in the announcers box just as confused as you are, but it's played out to Kevin Stam's favour, because he's doing an absolutely brilliant job. And yeah, I mean, effectively, I've just been informed. Yeah, the thing is that, yeah, Jelberg had an absolutely awful outlap from the pits and had no toe, and there he is. Oh dear, can you hear the Jaws music coming by any chance, DJ? Because I certainly can, because that's a lap down, and Jelberg has now ended up behind Wills and Reynolds, and Wills is now 13 away from getting the title for this season.
Yes, he is. Wills just needs to continue to run the line that he is. But what this is going to do is that even though these are drivers on different laps, we're going to have a little bit of a race on our hands, because Wills, Reynolds, Kjellberg, and Redford all running on that same sort of grouping together. They're all together. It's Kevin Stam that's just sort of out in his own world there, running with them as well. It's almost like the whole pack has been able to reform itself here, come back together around the way that they go, but just doing it on different laps here at this point. So leading the way here in this pack, as we said, it is Harry Wills right now with Stuart Reynolds behind him.
Yeah, Kevin Stam just trying to keep Jelberg at bay, because they're literally lying astern behind Brody Maynard, who currently sits in 7th position but 4th in this pack. It is absolutely crazy, but this is where things now get onto that precipice, that knife-edge situation. I mean, no one likes playing with a double-edged sword at the best of times, One wrong move with 11 to go out of 80. I think with 5 to go, we could see some proper speed demons here, because they've all been sort of like keeping it nice and clean and tidy. But I think with 5 to go here, DJ, the gloves will definitely be off, and it'll be like Brock Lesnar and Frank Mir battling for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the world once again.
I have to agree with you there. We talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast that it was going to be probably relatively calm, cool, and collected coming down to the final run here in the race, and we are about to tick over to that 10 to go mark here at Talladega. Our drivers out and ready to go, ready to get racing, ready to finish this race out. It's going to be an absolutely fascinating battle here for second place. As we've said before, though, Kevin Stam really and truly in massive control of this field. That's Stam! That is Stam around with Kjellberg! Is that going to bring up the yellow? It is!
Oh, Kjellberg, I think, just got a bit too... maybe a bit too throttle heavy. I'd like to see a replay of that from maybe a side-on angle, but you know what? This has opened up everything. First of all, this gives an opportunity for everyone to take on tyres, to take on fuel. This is a free pit stop for everybody. I hate to think if Stam's got any significant amount of damage to that number 6 car, that number 6 Camry, but up until that point, yeah, I think Kjellberg was a bit too close for comfort. Here's the replay now. We're going to see it. Oh, it's the slightest of touches. The slightest of touches. Thank God that the deflector plates on the top of the number 6 Camry slowed, but still hefty impact to the back end of the Toyota. And that could have been so much more worse for Stam. But look, the damage looks to be superficial. He's still out and running.
Well,
brilliant save.
It is a brilliant save, and what that is going to mean is it's going to be harder for drivers to get their lap back here at this point. We'll have to see where everybody gets collected. I think, though, as it runs around, it looks like, I believe, as they run, I'm trying to get a look at this here. Stam is collected behind the pace car. I'm not sure exactly who is going to be able to get sent around, who is not going to be able to get sent around. Redford will be the lucky dog, we believe, which should put Wills, Reynolds, and Kjellberg back onto the lead lap.
Reynolds is in the pit lane. He's just gone in for 9.5 seconds, so he might have just done a splash and dash here. So that could be possibly... yeah, so there is Reynolds in pit road. That could put Kjellberg back up into 3rd position. As Reynolds now starts to, well, I think has just stopped actually in his box and is now taking on, I would imagine, fuel at the very, very least. 10 seconds in pit road. So that is effectively, as now Stam now comes in. Oh, things are really on a knife edge right now, DJ, because Kevin Stam has come in. Wills has come in as well, so the top two are getting that get-out-of-jail-free card pit stop down pit road. Oh, we've got a fight on our hands for a victory.
We do indeed. We'll probably get started here with, I would imagine, 5 or 6 laps to go. We're going to have to see how this all fans itself out here, because we're not entirely sure what the order is going to be when they come back out around pit lane. I think with Stam taking the pit stop here, that will allow for a lot of these drivers to hustle their way back around and potentially get their lap back if they choose not to come down pit lane. So this could be big changing.
Well, considering the fact, pit stop times here, DJ. Harry Willis looks like splash and dash with 7.88 on the stopwatch. Kevin Stam nearly double that, 15.48 seconds. I think Stam might have taken on some tyres.
I think he may as well, and I think that's probably a good call for him. He's got the ability to do it. Why not give yourself every advantage over the rest of your competitors? Now, with Stam at the back, although looking at it right now, I'm seeing Harry Wills as actually being listed as the driver in the lead of the race right now. So Wills is going to be the one that is there. Looking back around, yeah, the top three, it's going to be Wills, Stam, and Reynolds. Those are the only three on the lead lap right now. Now, when the iRacing pace car, when the lights go out, that should release the cars that are stacked up behind there. So looking at the likes of Kjellberg, Redford, and Maynard, they should be able to get their lap back.
And then it puts us on a three-way course for, well, a three-way appetizer for seeing who's going to take the checkered and win this race, but also, more importantly, Harry Wills is 8 laps away from taking the title. But of course, it's going to be a 3-horse race to the checkered. It's going to be a 5-6 lap shootout. And that's what you want in a season finale. You don't want someone like Harry Willis saying that, yeah, you know, it was a really, really good race, it was a really easy race. No, you want every single driver worth their salt racing hard, tooth and nails at 200 plus miles an hour around this 2.66 mile circuit. I've just seen Harry Willis is in the pits again. Now, has he short fueled it? I'm not 100% sure. He is in pit road. Well, who'd have thought of that? Has he decided, because the caution's been out for a little bit longer, how long's this pit stop going to be? It's gone north of 12 seconds. I think maybe he might have countered Stam and might have gone with some tyres, maybe. Well, that's in for a very, very long time. That's nearly 25 seconds there, DJ. Oh, I think the playbook has been ripped up and thrown in the bin again.
I think it has as well. I'm not entirely sure. That could actually be a pit lane speeding penalty there for Wills, as he just looks to be stationary. Let's see here. If he gets going in about 45 seconds, that will be about perfectly what it is. Ticking by 45 seconds, so now I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be north of a minute now. Oh, dear. And it's just idling at just under 2,000 RPM. Well, yeah, I think it's yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because now look at where Wills is. And he's out of the pits. 1 minute 11.2. You know what this means? Just to hazard not an assumption, but a possibility that with what has just happened, I think Kevin Stam might be in the fray for taking that title. Because look, this is how they came in, all right? Harry Wills was 6 points ahead. Okay, he's currently leading. That's a maximum score of 40 to his credit. Harry Wills was on 238. He's now sitting in 7th position. I think that Kevin Stam, we've got what, 6 to go. He keeps it on the straight and narrow. He's got the title in the bag, and there's not a damn thing that Harry Wills can do about it, unless he gets through past everybody else in the next 5 laps and makes it a 1-lap shootout to the flag. Because now pace car is in, and it looks like Kevin Stam has hit the hammer, and they're offered away. And Matthew Bruno now following in 2nd position in the number 24. Reynolds in 3rd. Kjellberg, Redford, Maynard, and Wills rounding out the top 7.
And those are all of the drivers that are on the lead lap here, so we're going to have to see how that plays out, as they are all able to run together here. And this is a battle for position for the lead of the race. You see everybody coming together there on the back straightaway. Who's going to be the brave one to pop out onto that high line? It looks like they're in the back. One of the drivers is, as there comes Harry Wills up to the high line as well, starting to see what they can get going. I believe that's the 85 up there. That may be Brandon Hughes. That may be a slower car, but everybody trying to figure out what to do here. The low line certainly looking like the way to go, is that's Matthew Bruno giving a big old bump draft to Kevin Stam as they get ready to cross over the stripe again.
Yeah, Harry Wills has not made any significant inroads with 5 to go and under full green flag racing conditions. I mean, Kevin Stam has just got to pray to the man upstairs that Matthew Bruno does not do anything foolhardy, because the minute there's the slightest of touches, we saw that between Jelberg and Stam earlier on, which brought out the second caution of the race meeting. This is really starting to develop as Brody Maynard trying to go high, but the biggest thing is where on earth is Harry Wills? Harry Wills is nowhere. He's 8.4 seconds off of Kevin Stam, and there he is. He's got no one to help him out. Brandon Hughes, who I think it's George Hill who's behind him, has just entered into the pits. 4 to go. Wills is in no man's land, DJ. Stam is on the precipice.
Yeah, that's a death knell there for Harry Wills, and I think for Stam, he has just got to hope that he can hold on to the lead of this race. Bruno poking his nose this way and that, as is Stuart Reynolds. Kjellberg there behind him doing the same thing. Is anybody going to try on that high lane? Looks like Bruno thought about poking his nose to the outside. Here comes Kjellberg. Here comes Redford. They're going to make that high lane work with Brody Maynard behind him.
It's getting really close indeed. I think the thing is that Stam's just got to keep it nice and clean. As now Bruno takes the lead, Jelberg up into second, Stam still there or thereabouts, but Reynolds is the danger driver. It's going to be it's Redford that I really need to keep an eye on. Redford is currently ahead of Stam, so Redford, on the benefit of the doubt, could pip Stam to the title. So it's between the 77 and the 6, and I think a very good point from Sean Campbell. Maybe Harry Wills has damaged the engine on that car, that 95, because he is dropping. He's running in the 54.7s. It's 2x2x2 here going into turn number 3 off of the back straightaway. 3 to go.
And that got a little bit hairy there for Brody Maynard as they went down into the corner. Stuart Reynolds being left out to lunch there in the middle. Looks like there the Mark Redford now falls to the back of the field as they go around. Very close corner racing. There is now Redford getting a little bit of a move to the outside, trying to get by Kevin Stam.
Yeah, and Stam was nearly into the back left corner of Jelberg coming through as we're about to go on to 2 to go. It's just over 5.2 miles of racing here at the Talladega Super Speedway. And Matthew Bruno, so effectively Stam has to win. He's got to try and get the job done on Bruno to take the victory and also hopefully take the title, because Wills is 16.7, make that 17 seconds adrift. Redford still in 5th position, but look, we got so close. There was a little bit of a touch between Jelberg and Stam as Redford now up into P3. We're coming down to the final 2.66 miles. White flag will be out this time.
Yes, it will, as that is going to be Mark Redford pushing Matthew Bruno along. Brody Maynard getting very squirrely, almost down onto the grass. Kevin Stam holding on to 3rd place, and as we said, it needs to be a victory for Stam if he wants to take this championship. White flag in the air from Barney the Flagman. We work our way through turns 1 and 2 right now. A little bit of a gap starting to develop itself out for Matthew Bruno and Mark Redford. Kevin Stam holding in there behind Albin Kjellberg, trying to see what they can do. A little bit of 2x2 there in the back up front. It is all single file, though. Mark Redford giving a big bump to Bruno. He knows what he has to do to be able to take victory here as they dive down into 3 and 4 right now, seeing what they can do. Is there going to be a final charge here for Kevin Stam? Does he have the momentum to get this done? He's got a little bit of good juice. Here he comes. They come out of turn 4. That's going to be Stam down to the inside. Redford trying to hold on. There's going to be a little bit of almost a close running there as they cross over the start-finish line. Coming across, it's going to be Matthew Bruno, Kevin Stam, and Mark Redford, but that will not be enough for Kevin Stam to be able to take the championship.
Right, well, we're going to have to wait and see whether there's a tie on points, and if there's count back here, I think it will be a fitting way. Right, we are soon to get confirmation, but Matthew Bruno from 15th on the grid, no qualifying time before the 80 laps at Talladega Speedway, picks up the W by 0.16 seconds ahead of Kevin Stam and Mark Redford. Rounding out the top 3, Jelberg, got his elbows out. So did Brody Maynard. The thing was, top 6 at the end of 80 laps of racing here with a second caution out. DJ covered by 0.65 of a second. What a race.
Exactly. What a race indeed. And what a sprint to the finish. We said when that final yellow came out that things were going to get a little bit chaotic. And boy, let me tell you there, Alex, they certainly will. Now, we are waiting for those final times to, those final points to come across, but we believe here that this will make Mark Redford the champion as it goes. Regardless, let's run you through the final finishing order here. This we can categorize as official. It was Matthew Bruno, Kevin Stam, Mark Redford, followed by Albin Kjellberg, Brody Maynard, Stuart Reynolds, and Harry Wills with that mysterious loss of power on the final run there. Dean Timms was the first driver a lap down, Brandon Hughes, George Hill, and we get into some drivers that were not able to see the end of the day. Sean Campbell, Jeff Browning, Artie Bouchard, Dion Neunveld, Rich Matthews, and Robbie Power all out there not able to get it. But what a run here today for Matthew Bruno, and what a season for both Kevin Stam and Mark Redford.
Absolutely crazy. I mean, I'm just seeing all the points being inputted at the moment. I am just absolute. I cannot believe because we have to say a big thank you first of all to our good friend David Christie working the broadcast cameras tonight here at WSL NASCAR Series EU season finale. A big thank you to SIM3D and Go for the Gap for their constant support of this championship. But yeah, for us to have the top six covered by 0.65 of a second after 80 laps, we had two big cautions. Absolutely crazy, but what one hell of a race! I'm speechless because I've just seen the top three in the championship, and my God, is it close? My God, is it close?
Well, that is what you get when you tune into the WSL NASCAR Series EU. Absolutely incredible stuff there. And what a day out here at Talladega. This was everything that we hoped it would be.
Yeah, and then some. I mean, just waiting for Smokey and the Bandit to come along and then have Sheriff Buford T. Justice start giving the Bandit a bit of a telling off. But just sort of like looking back at what we saw, we saw some great racing. I mean, also Kevin Stam for me has to be the standout driver of the night, just leading for so many laps and just really doing such a great thing. But I think really what we need to do is to find out exactly who is the driver that has actually won this title. I think they're still putting them in, but I think to see how close it was at the end of 80 laps, I think just personified how close this is, DJ. But obviously, there's going to be the US side of this championship as well. That's going to be going on in the early hours of the UK morning, whilst I'll be fast asleep, getting some beauty sleep ahead of a trip over to Belgium this weekend. But yeah, I think it was a great way to end the season.
Exactly. And I know a lot of drivers that I talked to were a little bit trepidatious ending the season at Talladega, a big super speedway race, plenty of times for calamity, but it turned out absolutely wonderfully. And I am hearing that we have those championship standings about ready to be able to bring to you. And there it is. Harry Wills, by a single point, will be able to hold on to the championship. Kevin Stam and Mark Redford tied for second. Isaac Rain, Sean Campbell, Brendan Hughes, Matthew Bruno. Look at that rundown, so close across the field. Matthew Heatrick, Saoirse Fitzpatrick, and Dean Timms. My goodness gracious, you can't get a closing order closer than that.
Especially with the fact that Kevin Stam got second place on virtual camp back because of this race. He finished at one place ahead of Mark Redford and secured vice championship status, but still really good by every single driver that's taken part. And I think we've got some drivers on standby to have a chat with here, DJ.
We do indeed. And first up is third place finisher and third in the championship, Mark Redford. Mark, I want to start at sort of the middle of the race with you. I mean, you were pretty much the whole field a lap down here. Did you think it was possible to be able to fight back and get a podium at that point?
No, I didn't think we had a chance.
Well,
No,
talk to me. Go ahead.
Well, the caution came out and I jokingly said to Kevin that he should pit, and he did. So, what kudos to Kevin for giving everyone a chance. So, yeah, and congratulations to him on grabbing second place as well.
I mean, talking about the whole season, looking back on it, tying for second place, are you a little bit heartbroken to not be able to secure that second place position, or are you feeling pretty satisfied with third place?
You know what? I've got to be happy with finishing, within a point of the championship leader. So, yeah, it's been a good first oval series for WSL. I've really enjoyed it. I think what let me down mostly was the first race at Daytona, which was a disaster. So yeah, no, it's good fun. Didn't get any wins, unfortunately, but maybe next time.
Well, maybe next time, indeed. And speaking of next time, is this a series that we could see it start coming back to? Do you have that little bit of love for the ovals starting to come in?
Oh, I've always loved the ovals ever since the days of NASCAR Racing 3 and NASCAR Racing 4 and 2003 season. I've just been hooked with ovals since then. Being a Brit, I didn't really understand ovals, but that was kind of the first proper online racing game, and I just really enjoyed them ever since then. So yeah, that's kind of I'm more of an oval guy than a road course guy.
Well, I love to hear it, as I am the same. But Mark, a third place run here today, a third place in the championship. Is there anybody you'd like to shout out? Anybody you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank Harry and all the guys at WSL for putting on the league, and I'm hoping that they'll do another one soon. I want to thank you for the brilliant broadcasting. It's always been a pleasure to watch them back. And I want to give a shout out to Will Redford and his brother Luke and everyone at Nest in the Woods.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much, Mark. That was Mark Redford, your third place finisher here today, and your third place here in the championship. And then I believe, Alex, we've got our winner for today, Matthew Bruno, and you've caught up with him.
Well, Matthew, firstly, no time set in time qualifying earlier on, but to come back from 15th, the inside of row number 8, to pick up the W, how are you feeling right now?
Shocked, to be honest. I was I was down like 2 laps at some point. I had damage. Yeah, really, I was just riding around for, I think, 70 of the 80 laps there. Don't know how that happened. Glad it did. Makes up for, last week kind of getting robbed there for 2 to go or whatever it was. So, you take them when you can get them.
Yeah, I think it also goes to show that last time out, round 7 at Homestead, you qualified in the outside of the front row. What was your approach when you sort of realised, oh damn, I haven't set a lap in qualifying. I've got 80 laps. Maybe I can chance it and see, roll the dice, see what happens. And you definitely did not roll snake eyes, did you? Because it was a dogfight. It was a dogfight between 6 drivers, and you were top dog at the end of it all. I mean, it's a great way to round out the season, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I usually don't qualify for super speedways. It's just safer to be at the back, and then I thought it was safe there, so tried to work my way up, and then just I don't even know what happened. There's a big checkup and got spun there on like lap 8, lap 10. I don't know, but definitely a great way to round out the season for sure.
Matthew, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, thanks to the Race Anywhere boys, my teammate Isaac all season. I don't know where he finished in the championship. Hopefully, I stole some points and he got a good finish. But yeah, I'd like to thank those guys and everyone here for putting on the show.
Thanks very much. Matthew Bruno, our winner for tonight, who finished 8th in the championship. Matthew, just for your information, Isaac did actually finish in 4th. Isaac actually finished 4th in the championship on 265, despite not being with us this evening. So well done tonight. Congratulations on the W, and hopefully we'll see you back for WSL NASCAR Series EU for another season.
Yeah, for sure, guys. Thanks.
Well, I think we've got time for one more interview, and that is with your series champion, Harry Wills. Harry, in the middle of that race, things were looking a little bit dire, but you just kept your head in it, and you have emerged as champion.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know how that happened. It was, you're probably wondering why I pitted a second time around. And it's just something that strikes us all. But if I hadn't have pitted, that second time around on the caution, I would be sitting in a puddle of wee right now. So I literally had to go and do that. If I hadn't have done that, there would have been a very damp rig in my house. So, I mean, I just shoved it in the pits and was like, ran out my rig, got back in, got back around. And I thought I caught them. I thought, oh, we could have a good race here. And then I just waved them off. But I put the wrong setup on. So I was running at about 9,500 RPM the whole way around with the engine. If I was in the draft, I'd be doing about 132 on oil temp. So I'm amazed I even finished that.
Well, I mean, you were able to finish it, and I've got to give you kudos for that, for having to go do that and then come back. That's pretty darn impressive. I mean, other than that, I mean, was the race out there today? It seemed like even with the setup problems that you had a decent car. Obviously, all three of you and the Twisted teammates able to run up at the front there at one point.
Yeah, well, the guys, they had the right setup on, and I loaded the wrong setup on. So, yeah, it was just trying to hang with the pack, but really monitor the throttle, monitor the temps, you know, and yeah, it was a good race. I've enjoyed putting the series together. It's our first venture into NASCAR, oval races stuff. A lot of positive feedback off of people, and something that I think we'll definitely look at potentially doing again. Not too sure I'm going to use the next gen cars because they're very hard. These cars are unbelievably difficult to get set up, and especially on 1.5s. If you've not got the banking, they're absolutely lethal things. But it's been a really good season. I've got to just say massive thank you to, first off, you guys for putting on the show, putting it all together, making it happen, and bringing us some absolutely fantastic streams. I think we've had some really, really good races through the course of the season. A big thank you to my admin team for helping me put the show together, and not only that, but a massive thank you to every one of the drivers that turns up week in, week out for, you know, coming to race these ungodly things around these racetracks. So it's been absolutely fantastic, and I'm chuffed to bits with how it's gone.
Well, Harry, I couldn't agree with you more. It's been absolutely fantastic to see you guys out track, and thank you for letting us be a part of this fantastic series.
Oh, mate, no, pleasure is everyone's. So thank you ever so much again. I don't know what to do with myself. I've never really even been in contention with my own series. So to come away with winning it, I think it's a bonus. But I think we'll have to see what we could do with that prize, because it's a little bit unfair of me to win that. We might raffle it off or put it up as a donation. So, but yeah, it was good. And again, thank you. And we'll no doubt be back for a second season of it. Just what cars we choose and tracks and stuff might be a bit heavily thought through, but yeah, guys, thank you ever so much again.
Well, thank you, Harry. That was Harry Wills, series organizer and your champion here in the WSL NASCAR Series EU. And Alex, you heard it there, just how excited he was, and you heard it in our voices, just how excited we were over the course of this race. Absolutely fantastic stuff, and I'm a little sad to see this series have to take a bit of a hiatus, but it sounds like we'll be back and get some different cars out on the track.
Well, at least the good thing is that Harry can use the old Ricky Bobby line saying, if you ain't first, you're last. And he's got bragging rights to do that going into the next season, guaranteed. And of all the places to take the crown here at Talladega Superspeedway, I mean, this is my first time. I mean, I've commentated on iRacing NASCAR trucks, but to see the next-gen cars in action, you know, it was everything and more than what I expected, and it's been a real pleasure to be alongside you here in the announcers booth at the virtual recreation of Talladega Superspeedway. It's been an absolute hoot, and looking forward to the next time.
I can't wait as well. And ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Alex Goldschmidt, myself, DJ Clark, and David Christie, our director and producer behind the booth, we would like to thank you for joining us here today. And until we see you out on the track, thanks for watching.